Is there racism?
I think it's in the,
Sure.
yeah.
Zayn is winnowing. So they had the grain or the seed or the herb. There's different opinions. Some say it had to do with the malacha of the because it was the showbread that they had in the Mishkan. So for the bread, so there was the kernels, the wheat. We didn't mention it last time. Now I'm mentioning it. Most opinions explain it has to do with the herbs, the seed that they would grow, and they would use that for the dye for the Mishkan, for the coverings of the Mishkan. So it would grow inside chaff, covered by chaff, to break open the chaff. And then that was the threshing part. And then there was Zayah, there was winnowing. So winnowing is when they would take it was mixed together, the seed, the herb, together with the pieces, the particles, and they would throw it to the wind, and the wind would blow away. The lighter part would be blown away, and the heavier part would fall to the ground. So it would blow away whatever schmutz there was, whatever was there. And the heavier parts, the seed, the kernel, would fall to the ground. So that was Zoyre, winnowing. So that's why Shabbos, you cannot take Zoyre, winnowing. You're not allowed to take, let's say, confetti, or to take, let's say, you have a tablecloth with pieces in it, you have leftover crumbs, and you want to go to your backyard. Let's say it's enclosed, there's an Eruv, and there's no issue of carrying. Okay. I'll wait till everyone finishes writing it down. So concentrate. Zayra and have it. Zayin Vav Reishe Zayra. Translated winnowing. Okay, should I spell it?
Is it with N, winnowing?
Yeah. W-I. Oops, that's my W.
Yeah.
Winnow. See it? Yeah, winnowing. Okay, so that's why on Shabbos you're not allowed to take a tablecloth, go to your backyard, there's an Eruv, let's say, and take a tablecloth that has leftover crumbs and just shake it. It's windy. So you'll shake it and the wind will scatter it around. You're not allowed to do that. We'll take confetti and throw it into the wind and the wind will blow it around. Can't do that. The example brought in Shulchan Aruch is, sounds a little funny, but that's the example brought, is that to spit into the wind, and then the wind will separate your saliva into different directions. You can't do that. That's why I first mentioned what's more practical. Okay. Right, exactly. You cannot spit into the wind. In other words, you want to have some fun and spit into the wind, and the wind is going to like take you and blow it apart. You can't do that on Shabbos. That's winnowing. Okay, you'll have to refrain from doing that. Huh?
What if it's summer and there's no wind?
If there's no wind, there's no wind. Issue is if there's wind. It's only when there's wind. That's why there's certain cans, certain spray bottles, most of them don't have this, but there's certain spray bottles that the way the spray comes out is a mechanism of wind. But you don't have to worry about it because most spray bottles don't have that issue. It's not from wind. It's just there's a pressure that causes the spray to come out. That's why there's no problem with sprays, spray bottles. Deodorant is not an issue in terms of Zaira. It's just that you have to be, if you're using deodorant on Shabbos, you can only use it if you already used it before Shabbos and there's something still left on your body. So you're just adding to what's there, you're adding to the scent that's there already, then it's okay. But if you haven't used deodorant before Shabbos and it's scented, right, I should say if it's scented, right? If it's not scented, there's no problem. If it's scented, you're creating a scent on your body, then you cannot do that on Shabbos unless you already did it before Shabbos and already has that, the body already still has something left over from the scent. Now you're adding more, then it's okay. Because now the reason why you can't is because it's like you're creating. We learned that you cannot take ice and crush it. Why? Because it gives the impression of like you're creating something. It looks like a malacha. It's not an actual malacha, but a chum prohibited because it looks like a malacha. So the same idea is also when you are spraying your body, you're creating a scent on your body. The same would be on your garments. If you're spraying on your clothes to create a scent onto your clothes, it's the same issue because it looks like a malach. That's why you can't do it. Okay, we have a lot of questions here. Yeah.
I just want to clarify. So, like, let's say you put on perfume before Shabbos, like on your skin, for example, right?
Right.
And maybe the scent is rubbed off by like a few hours later, and you want to put more on, but you can't do that. I'm assuming.
Is there anything left?
No.
There's nothing left, then you can't.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure to put on while there's still something left. Yeah. You also have to be careful. I mean, I'm not so familiar with the exact, but if it has a certain consistency that you are, I don't think that's what perfume is, a liquid, right?
Usually it's a spray liquid. Yeah.
It's a spray, it's not an issue. I was going to say if it has a some density to it, then you're smoothing, then it's an issue. That perfume is a liquid, so it's
Okay, two things. Number one, again, from my past history learning, whatever, I heard that perfume is fine as long as it isn't onto your clothes.
as long as it's not onto your clothes.
When you're-
There are opinions like that hold that you could put on your body without a problem. There's such an opinion.
And as
The
for,
Alter does not hold. Alter holds that the body is the same issue.
and
So you hear the other opinions.
as for deodorant, what if say you use a baby wipe that is completely not malacha, totally fine according to the standards?
Mhm.
Say you use a baby wipe to clean yourself before you put on deodorant. So you're essentially erasing whatever was the leftover of the deodorant. Therefore, you cannot use spray scented deodorant.
Correct.
But if you hold that perfume is okay on the skin, you can hold that deodorant is also okay.
What do you mean if you hold? I mean, what do you mean by that? The Alter says no. You're saying according to those opinions.
I'm not
I mean, those would go according to those opinions.
correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Wait, so the way to use perfume on Shabbos, can we spray all the clothes that we want to wear with the perfume before Shabbos?
Yes.
And our
Then,
bodies before Shabbos and then just add to it?
but you have to add at the time that there's still something left over.
It's strong perfume, it's still there.
Then you can continue
Okay,
spraying.
another question. Can you use whipped cream?
Just 1 second.
Okay,
On the clothing, to add on the clothing, I'm not so sure I have to think about it because maybe it's an issue of cleaning. You're wetting the clothing, adding the spray onto the clothing. That may be an issue. I have to check. Maybe it's like washing it. No, you can't make your clothing wet even if it's clean. I'll tell you strict about it. Even if it's clean, because it might be considered like washing. So it could be on
It's like
adding on
small
clothing.
particle, you can't even see them, that's sweating.
I mean a very small amount of liquid. It could be there's such a stringency not to. I have to check. It could be because you're not supposed to wet your clothing on Shabbos, even when it's clean. Unless you're doing it in a way, unless it's like you're drying your hands on a towel, it's in a way of dirtying. Anyways, that's a whole different topic, but it could be an issue. I have to check. It could be. Yeah. Yeah, what did I say?
I also
No, okay.
have the whipped cream. Like the spray whipped cream.
Right, so you spray it, and as you press it, it changes from a liquid and it becomes a cream. That's what you mean?
Yeah,
Right, it's a. I was just reading about it last night, so that's what I know about it. It's about.
reading about it last night.
I was learning not about
About the whipped
the
cream?
halachas,
Well,
not
okay.
not in terms of
Oh,
not in
okay.
the kitchen book, the halacha
Okay.
book.
Okay,
There's a certain pressure.
right.
If I understand correctly, it's a liquid inside, and then when you're putting pressure, when you're pressing it, it changes from a liquid and it becomes like a foam. So there are many opinions who say it's a problem. It's similar to what we discussed with crushing ice. Just like you can't crush ice because it's like you're creating something new. like something, it's a change, it's turning from ice to liquid. It's the same idea. You're taking the liquid and using pressure to create a foam out of it.
But that's
So-
meant to be, that's why.
Right, so there are many opinions, if not all, but many opinions say that you're prohibited. You understand? Because it's like it's like you're creating something new. So just like ice, before it was ice, now it's liquid. Before it was liquid, now you're changing it into a foam. That's why there are opinions that you can't make ice on Shabbos. Okay, now we don't have the issue because you have an ice maker and everything's automatic. But you want to make ice. Friday night, oh, I need ice for tomorrow. You fill up the ice trays, you put it into the freezer. Many opinions say no, because it's like you're creating something new. Some say it's actually because it goes to the category of building. You're not allowed to build on Shabbos. That's why you can't make cheese on Shabbos. Who's going to make cheese anyways? But you can't make cheese because it's like building. You take milk and it's coagulating and it's turning into solid, right? So it's like, so some say ice cream is like building. Okay,
What's the algorithm says? No,
about what?
about whipped cream?
Didn't talk about with cream. So, the Achreim, the other Svarim speak about it. Not the Alter himself, we didn't have it those days.
Okay.
Or if they, in any case, Alter doesn't speak about it. So even if they had it, then yeah,
Yeah, assuming you put on perfume for Shabbat,
yeah,
and therefore you're allowed to put on perfume during Shabbos.
right.
Question is, what if it's a different type?
Now, 1 second. I want to make it very clear. When we saying that you can add on because you put on, I'm talking about the same part of the body, not on parts that you didn't put on, right? It's not like, oh, I already put some, so you can add more on the rest of the body. No, that part is already has that sin, you can add sin. We have to make that very clear. Yeah.
Can it be a different type of perfume?
I don't. I will double check, but I doubt it because the whole idea is that you're not creating because you're just adding. If it's a different scent, then it's a new scent. And I assume that it's an issue. Yeah. Okay, clear? Okay, so let's go to the next malacha of Zoyre. Boyer. Sorry, just did Zoyre. Boyer. After Zoyre goes Boyer. What's Boyer? Boyer is separating. In the Mishkan, they would separate the kernels or pieces mixed together with the. We spoke about separating the chaff from the kernel, then we spoke about throwing it to the wind, and the heavier particles, the lighter particles were blown away, and then the kernels and the seeds fell to the ground, but there was still some pieces that were a little heavier that did not blow away with the wind. Okay. That was still mixed together with the seed or with the herb, with the kernel, whatever it was. So there was still a next malacha of baited, of separating. So even though it's a similar malacha, it's the same idea, but it's another malacha in the Mishkan, baited, separating. As you're familiar with, you can't do baited, you can't separate on Shabbos, like eating watermelon, and you can't take the seeds out of the watermelon, but it's separated. So in the Mishkan, it was separating the bad from the good. That's what they did. So anything similar to what was done in the Mishkan is prohibited on Shabbos. So it would seem to be that you cannot separate bad from good, but good from bad. You could, right? And you're familiar that you could take good from bad, but it's not exactly like that. Actually, we explained anything that was similar is equally prohibited. Taking good from bad is similar to taking bad from good. It's a similar idea. This way, that way, it's similar. So essentially, good from bad is also prohibited. But it's not. You're allowed to take good from bad. The reason why you're allowed because it's for a certain condition, because you're not doing it with a utensil that's. You're not doing it in a way. You're not using a utensil that's there to separate the good from the bad. You're doing it by hand, and we'll explain in detail what that means by hand. And you're doing it because you're going to eat now. Because you're ready to eat now, or it's before the time of the meal. That's why when you're separating good from bad, it's not considered the malacha, because it's considered eating. It's part of eating. Is eating called malacha? No, it's considered part of the process of eating. It's called derech achila. It's the way of eating, and that's why you're allowed to separate good from bad. But it's not that, oh, good from bad. It's like a green light. Green light, good from bad, no problem. You just separate. No. Like evil happens to be that people have in their mind that, and it's correct most usually because they are doing it in the correct way, that they take good from bad and it's fine. But it's not like it's 100% okay in all situations. There are conditions involved that we're going to discuss. Now, let's go through examples. We spoke about the watermelon. You could not take the seeds out of the watermelon, saying bad from the good. Eating fish, and there's bones in the fish, you cannot take the bones out of the fish. However, sometimes you have fish that has very, very thin bones. Because it's very thin bones, it's pretty much impossible to take the fish out of the bones, right? Because if it's so thin, nothing like herring, very thin, it'll take the fish out of the bones. And so it's going to be, literally, you're going to be there all day trying to, it doesn't work. So over there, we're actually going to allow you to take the bones out of the fish because there's no other way to do it. Just like we allow you to peel an orange. A lot of peel an orange in Shabbos. How you have to peel an orange in Shabbos? You take the bad from the good.
Don't you have to leave like a little bit of the orange on it? Like the.
No. Are you allowed to peel an orange in Shabbos? Yes. But you can't take bad from good. How can you peel an orange? Anyone knows why you're allowed to peel an orange in Shabbos? Because Chacham want to feel bad for you, right? Going to eat an orange. Is that the reason? Anyone knows the reason? The reason is because just like you're allowed to take good from bad, because that's called derech achil, that's the way of eating. So too in an orange, that's how you eat an orange. That's what people know, eat an orange. In any case, right now you're not even able to get to the food. It's blocked, and that's how people eat an orange. They peel the orange. So peeling an orange is similar to when you are separating in a way we're taking good from bad. Like if you have different nuts mixed together, you're taking out what you want from what you don't want, it's the same idea. So you're allowed. However, there is a condition. Now we have to have all the conditions clear. Pretty much if you have all the conditions, everything will fall into place very easy. In order to be allowed to separate on Shabbos, there are 3 conditions that we're going to be referring to every time we discuss this. Okay, so what are the 3 conditions to be allowed to separate from Shabbos? The first one is we're going to use halachic terminology. Oichel mitoich pseilos. Ever heard these words before? Yeah. Halachic terminology is the good we call oichel, food, the bad, we're familiar with bad, good. In halacha, we call it the good oichel, food, and the bad is called pseilos, waste. Basically, now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's waste. We use the term pseilos, waste, but it means something that you don't desire. Okay? I want you to give some time to write it down. Okay. Can you write this down? 2, samuch lachila. Yeah.
Just to understand, what about like, for example, if your way of eating, like every time say you have chicken and it's cooked with skin, but you never eat the skin, your way of eating is always to peel off the skin and then eat the inside of the chicken. Is that allowed or is that considered?
That's like peeling an orange.
That's allowed.
Just like peeling an orange. There's a condition. These are the conditions. Right? Okay, those who want to write, I'll give you some time to write it down, then we'll explain it. Biyad. 3 is biyad, by hand.
What's this number two mean again?
Samach lachila. Samach means close, lachila to the time of eating. Okay, so okay. So oichel, the first condition to be allowed to separate is oichel, the food mitepselos from waste. But waste is a term used to describe something that you don't desire. Called waste doesn't mean necessarily waste. The halach of separating is not only by food and waste. Even though we said we gave the example of peels and pits, separating is also by two foods mixed together. If he has cashews and almonds mixed together, the same halach of separating applies, the same rules. I want the cashews, not the almonds, right? Okay, so the cashews are called the eichel and the almonds are called the pselis. Same rules, okay? So condition number one is that it has to be eichel mitep pselis, to be food from waste. You take what you desire from what you don't desire. And as I pointed out, there's an exception to the rule, like an orange, or like peeling the skin of the chicken. The second one is samach lachila, close to the time of eating. Why are you allowed to peel an orange? Because, okay, the first condition, there's an exception to the first condition, because what's the reason why we have the first condition? Because we allow you to take the good from the bad, because that's called that's how you eat. It's not called malacha, it's called eating. When it comes to an orange, that's how you eat an orange. You peel it. So there's an exception to the rule that we say, okay, you could peel the orange. The second condition is to be close to the time of eating. That means if you're peeling an orange in the morning, before you go to shul, you're peeling a bunch of oranges because you're making some type of fruit dessert with oranges. Yeah, so you're peeling a bunch of oranges. Then you come back, you're going to do the whole dessert. It doesn't matter. You want to peel the oranges before you go to shul. And why are you peeling it? So for after shul, it's going to be the Shabbos meal, right? So you can't peel those oranges because it has to be close to the time of eating. That's separating, that's allowed when it's close to the time of eating. The third condition is biyad has to be by hand. And there's also a bunch of exceptions to the rule. Very obvious exception. When you scoop out soup, you scoop out with your hand, right? Use a ladle. When you scoop out chong, you use a spoon. Why is that okay? When we say hand, as opposed to utensil, we mean a utensil that's going to assist you in the separation of the two items. A utensil that's helping you separate the two. When you are scooping out cholent, you're not using the spoon because the spoon is going to help you separate the barley from the potatoes, from the meat, from the chicken. No, because you don't get yourself dirty. It's easier. It's hot. Using the ladle of the spoon of the soup to help you separate the carrots from the matzo balls and the no. You can do the same thing by hand, but you're going to burn yourself. You're going to get yourself dirty. It's just no one does it. So it's not there to actually assist you in the separating. Now, other examples. You have grapes, and some of the grapes are spoiled or they're partially spoiled, and you want to serve it on the table, and you want to pick out the grapes that are spoiled, that are not good. Can't do that on Shabbos. But if you do it right before the meal, is that okay? Not really. We allow you to peel an orange because that's how you eat an orange, by peeling it. But the way people eat grapes is they take what they want. Are you allowed to take out the pits on the watermelon before the time of eating? No, because people eat watermelon and because people eat sliced watermelon and they work around the pits. It's not necessarily this is how everyone eats watermelon. Everyone just pulls out all the pits before they eat watermelon. No, people eat it and they spit out. But orange, that's how you eat orange. You peel the orange. So if you want to serve grapes on the table and you want to take out the parts that don't look so nice or partially spoiled, You can't do that. Even though it's before the meal, you can't do that. Another example, very practical example, is you make a vegetable salad for the Shabbos day meal. Usually they make it during the day. You want it to be fresh, so you do it during the day. Could you do it before you go to shul? No. Because when you make a vegetable salad, you are doing biter, you're separating. Cutting up the tomatoes, cutting up the peppers, you are separating. You can't do that before you go to shul. You have to do it when you come back from shul. There's no way you're going to be allowed to do it before you go to shul. No way. Not possible. There is a way, actually, if you really want to find a way. If you want to have some vegetable salad before you go to shul, to make but why make a big one? So it's not so simple. Actually, I'm not sure if you're going to make a lot and then eat from it now. No, actually, it's not going to help. The thought that came to my mind as I'm saying it's not, because it's a trick. You're making a huge vegetable salad, and I'm going to eat a little from it so I could do it before. No, that's not. I don't think that's not going to help. Okay, now, you have matzo balls in the soup, and you don't like the matzo ball. They serve you a portion of soup, and I don't like the matzo. I want to take out the matzo ball. No, don't do it by someone's table. It's not going to look nice. Okay, don't. Just discussing dalach. Okay, you don't want the matzo ball. Yes, you're going to take out the matzo ball. Is that called separating? Or you have lakshin, you have rice in the soup, and you want to take out the rice. You want to take out the lakshin because you don't like it. Is that called separating? So it's interesting that the lakshin and the rice is called separating, but not the matzah balls. Matzah ball is not called separating because the definition of a mixture is that it's perceived as one. It's perceived as in one unit. It's like, as opposed to separate particles, right? So let's say, okay, it's obviously Muktzah Shabbos, but we're using this just for the sake of let's say I have this on the table, right? Let's say I have this like that, this, that. Okay, sorry, those who are on Zoom can't see this. Whatever it's called. Yeah, is this called a mixture? Maybe it's not. There's certain mixtures that we don't know for sure what's called a mixture. Just let me give you another example before we get back to this. The Alter Rebbe says that if let's say you have big and small pieces mixed together, you have peaches. Alter Rebbe does talk about the fruit. Alter Rebbe says big and small. So giving an example, let's say you have peaches and blueberries all mixed together in one nice bowl, and you put the blueberries and the peaches mixed together. Or strawberries, same thing. Strawberries are very small compared to the peaches. Yeah? Okay, peaches and strawberries mixed together. It's special.
In soup, especially for a lot of people
Yeah.
make it, they don't necessarily make small vegetables. Like the vegetables are cut big. So if you don't like something, say carrots, you can always take out the carrot because it's usually on a bigger size. And you say,
Right, very good. So so
what if I'm giving it to someone else? Is it still?
it's okay. It's okay. You're giving it to someone else. It's okay. Giving it to someone else, yeah. So you have, again, what do you have? Peaches and strawberries all mixed together. Is this called a mixture? The Alter Rebbe says, we don't know. It's not clear. It could be it's a mixture. And because we have a doubt, you have to be strict. You have to be strict to treat it like it's a mixture. Which means you could separate it if you're taking what you want. But if you don't if you separate it because you're not planning to eat it out, then you can. So it's not for sure a mixture. As says, we don't know, but we have to be strict. Because you might be transgressing a isum and atayra, a biblical transgression, if you separate it. Yeah.
Does this apply to non-food? I mean, I'm assuming it applies to non-food related items, like for example, clothes. Like you have a pile of shirts, can you like?
Yeah, the same as by clothes. We're gonna get everything. Yeah. So a mixture. So getting back to the matzo balls, the matzo ball in the soup, unless it's tiny matzo balls, but if it's a nice sized matzo ball, it's brought down according to many opinions, if not all opinions. We don't view the matzo ball with the soup as a mixture because it's not viewed as together. It's viewed as two separate things. Just like if I have this would be a good example. Let's say I have this and this and this. Is this called a mixture? Okay, forget about it's not a pen. It's long different types of food, whatever. It's not muktzah. Okay, could I take this out? I don't want this here. Yeah, is this called separating? It's not perceived as a mixture. It's perceived as separate items. So the same thing as the matzo ball inside the soup is not considered like a mixture with the soup because it's big, as opposed to when you have spaghetti in the soup, or when you have tiny vegetables, you have rice in the soup, and when it's mixed with the liquid and you're separating it, that's considered separating. Is clear? Now, here's a very practical example, and this could happen after the meal is over, and now you want to put away the soup. You want to have it for the weekday. So one way is to take the whole pot of soup, just put it back into the refrigerator. But let's say you're more organized, and you know what? You don't have space in the refrigerator for this big pot. Stick the big pot in the refrigerator. I want to put other things in. I want to pour it into containers. I have a bunch of plastic containers. I'm going to take the soup and pour it into containers. Now, a bunch of containers, and put that into the refrigerator, and I'll have it. Good. So the most sensible way to do it is that every container should have some vegetables and some soup. Not all the vegetables are one soup in one container, all the soup in another container, right? What makes more sense? To separate in a way where every container gets some vegetables, some soup, right? But on Shabbos you can't do that because you're separating. You're not eating now. You're pouring it in a way where liquid, vegetable, you can't do that. So if you want to put away the soup into containers, you have to just whatever comes out. And some containers can have more vegetables, or no vegetables, only soup. That's it. You can't, otherwise it's actually separating. Now, when we talk about separating in soup the vegetables from the liquid, or the liquid from the vegetables, same thing. Liquid from vegetables, liquid. It's only when it's mixed together. Now, when we're talking about it's mixed together, what do I mean? I said only when it's mixed together. What I mean is that in a pot of soup, many times, the pieces are to the bottom. The top of the soup, top of the pot, only has liquid. There's no pieces, let's say, right? So there's a part of the pot where that's where it's mixing together. So if I'm taking from the top of the pot liquid, or for that matter, I'm holding the pot of soup and I'm pouring out soup. I'm pouring out soup because whatever the reason is, I want the soup, I don't want the soup, right? So let's use an example where you don't want it's too much liquid in the pot, okay? Right? You don't want the soup, and you just want you want to separate it, okay? You want to separate it. You want to put it away, and you want to separate the soup from the. You want to put the soup into another pot. Simple example. You want to, like we discussed before. You want to put it away, okay? So you're going to pour out a bunch of soup, pour it, and then afterwards you'll take the rest, the soup and the vegetables, and put it away somewhere else. Is that called separating that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, or is that okay? You got the question? Yeah, you see the question? Is that okay? Huh? So when you are pouring from the top of the pot where there's only soup, there's no vegetables mixed. It means when you're pouring out, you're pouring regular. This just like if I'm gonna pour out this cup, what's gonna come out of the cup? I know it's only gonna be water. That's all there is. So if I'm pouring from the top of the pot, and the top of the pot only has liquid, the vegetables on the bottom, but I only want liquid, right? I want to separate it, yeah? But now, so I'm pouring liquid. Is that called separating the liquid from the piece on the bottom? The answer is no, because on the top of the pot, there's no pieces there. So separating is, when is it called separating? When you're pouring the soup separating the soup from the pieces, when it comes to a point where it's already mixed together. So now when you're pouring out, you're like, when you're trying to pour and you're trying to make sure the vegetables do come out or don't come out. So you have to play around with the pot back and forth. That's when you have an issue of separating. That's when we have the conversation. Oh, that's considered separating. Oh, are you eating now? Do you want to eat it now? Oh, you're putting it away, then you can't. But when it's the top of the pot where there's only liquid, even though your intention is, I just want the liquid, or I don't want the liquid, whatever it is. But at the top of the pot, there is no pieces there. There's only soup. So it's not called separating, because there's nothing mixed there. Even though technically, yeah, you're separating the soup and you don't want the pieces. You don't want the piece on the bottom. So you have pieces and soup. But the pieces are here and the soup is there. You're just taking the top part. There's no pieces here. You get what I'm saying? So that's not an issue of separating. You have any questions? Yeah.
So we can take things if some of the goods mix in them.
Right, so that's another thing we must have learned from before, that if you're separating not good with good, let's say watermelon, you're taking out the pits, but you're taking it with the watermelon, right? You're cutting out, I don't want the pits. I don't want to eat with pits, too many pits. So I'm gonna cut out, instead of taking out the pit, I cut out part of the watermelon with it. Right, so that's okay because I'm taking the good from good. Correct. Okay. Okay, we'll continue with Shem tomorrow. Okay. Yes.
Rabbi Osdoba.
You know the closes? You know the closes? You know?